Take 3, action. My name is Joseph Simone. This is my persuasive video lecture reshoot. For some reason, the last couple times it hasn't been working. Let's see if it works now. I'm going to try changing the slide. Here we go. It's still not doing it. Try something else. Display capture. Okay. So that's going to work now. We start the slideshow over. My name is Joseph Simone. This is Take 4. This is my reshoot of the persuasive video lecture for Steve Harrow's Communications 101 against tariffs. The problem is that President Donald Trump has imposed a tariff on foreign steel and aluminum, and as well as other goods from nations that he perceives to be a threat. This jeopardizes America's trade relationships. It will increase the price of goods and destroy our relationships with other powerful countries. Protectionists like the president argue that new tariffs will bolster American industries and weaken foreign interests. Why the U.S. levies tariffs? Protectionists such as Trump believe the imposition of tariffs are justified for some of the following reasons: self-sufficiency, the creation of employment, balance of payments, and the defense of a nation. Tariffs do not encourage self-sufficiency. When government officials believe that industries key to the survival of the nation are being outsourced, a kind of panic occurs. Protection worries that if a nation's manufacturing or agricultural industry leave, then the citizens will not have access to these goods. The tariff punishes the outsourcing of these industries. However, the protectionist solution is a scorched earth method of conflict resolution. To punish captains of industry for importing grain does not encourage the American farmer, but only makes bread a luxury. Tariffs do not make jobs. Protection strives to preserve the employment of domestic workers by making foreign competition less viable economically. The American steel industry has been non-operational because of low wages in China's foundries. However, this is a destructive solution to both sides. The fact that Chinese steel is cheaper to produce is a benefit for powers on either side of the Pacific. To bring back steel jobs at a lower efficiency would put American steel workers into business at the cost of the steel in their cars. Chinese unemployment would rise, and potential wealth would be destroyed. The balance of payments is irrelevant. President Trump and associated economic advisors worry about a trade imbalance between the United States and its peers. Fear has been spread that the United States does not export as much as we import, and therefore are off balance. Tariffs right the balance. However, this neglects a basic principle of capitalism. Without coercion or fraud, nothing can be sold for more than its value. It may or may not be true that the United States have little to export, but this is of no concern. The American consumer can still afford Japanese Mitsubishis and soda wrapped in Chinese aluminum. It benefits the consumer to import for as long as cash can be wired across the sea. Protection of goods from foreign countries, as well as the protection of foreign countries from goods. What protection teaches us to do to ourselves in a time of peace is what enemies seek to do to us in times of war. Henry George was a 19th century economist who spoke out against tariffs being levied at the time. A tariff is to ourselves what an embargo is to other people. We stop goods from getting into Cuba to damage Cuba, but protectionists claim that we stop goods from getting into America to help America. This is obviously double-faced. Most recently, Trump has been pursuing trade regulations to mitigate economic damage due to wars. A culmination of all the previous points forms the idea of a tariff to protect the nation. A war with China would leave Americans cut off from steel and rice, and at the economic mercy of the Chinese. and possibly even result in a blockade. This argument is strong, but because of its reliance on the points previously disproven, the premises which it supports can be removed. Like all other protectionist thought, a tariff for defense is well intended, but ultimately lacks big picture understanding of why the problem exists. So, why shouldn't there be a tariff for defensive purposes? Protectionists are right to assume that we would lose access to supplies we import from belligerents in the course of a war, but they fail to grasp why a war would occur, and why a tariff is not the ideal solution to a problem. I must, however, make a caveat. A tariff to decrease import from a country which may declare war could be a way to sever the economic link before the beginning of hostilities. The best way to explore why a tariff is not ideal would be to explain why the opposite is ideal. The opposite is free trade. Trade stops wars. And tariffs can shore up an economic defense of a nation before an unavoidable war occurs, but war can be prevented. Trade strengthens the relationship between nations. Wars are fought most often for differences in resource and opinion. Trade lessens this difference. In a domestic trade between a grocer and a customer, the grocer is richer by $1 and the customer is richer by an apple. They have each profited from the trade, becoming each better off than before and closer to equality. Trade between nations closes the resource gap, lessening the economic incentive for war. Long-term trade partners have more to lose from a betrayal than to gain. Trade also closes gaps of culture. Consider how different Japanese culture is to our own, but through trade of ideas, immigrants, and goods, Japanese culture has become regular to Americans. Trading of resources leads to trading of ideals, preventing wars of ideology. In conclusion, therefore, are tariffs not only an inelegant solution to the problems of sufficiency, employment, balance, and defense, but the tariff's opposite, free trade, is ideal for Americans and for everyone. Congress and voters should accept no tariff and encourage free trade for the good of all. I have not changed any of the slides in my PowerPoint presentation since it was originally uploaded on the 9th of May, on the 1st of May. I'm just re-narrating it with the slides actually being included. Thank you, and excuse me.